Hello everyone, welcome back to the 10 to 1, your high-speed daily update where we're reeling in all things fishing in 10 minutes or less right here in one spot. I'm your host, Mike Anderson. Today is Tuesday, February 15th, and as always, I'm super excited to be here with all of you today. Now I want to talk about a topic that applies to all anglers no matter what vessel you're fishing from or even if you're fishing from shore, and that's choosing proper rod length. For this info, we'll be relying on our expert friends over at Abu Garcia, who've published a very useful article highlighting 4 main areas to pay attention to when it comes time to make the proper selection of rod length for you. Now they state, most anglers focus their attention on rod materials and action. That's good, but it's not good enough. They also need to consider rod length. There's no doubt that rod materials are important. These days, most high-quality fishing rods are made of graphite, fiberglass, or a composite of the two. Generally, graphite is a lighter and more sensitive, perfect for plastic worm and jig fishing, where fiberglass is softer and more forgiving, ideal for many treble hook baits, and composites are a compromise between the two. Actions are also critical here. For lighter lines and baits, a light action rod is typically best. Medium or heavy action rods are often a great choice for lures with treble hooks or for spinner baits, buzz baits, bladed jigs, and are fished fast and generate reaction strikes. Heavy action rods are the default choice for single hook baits like plastic worms, jigs, or for techniques like flipping and pitching. But rod length has a big and underrated impact on your fishing. Ultimately, rod length impacts 4 aspects of your fishing and should be considered at any time when choosing your gear. Now, starting with accuracy. In a nutshell, shorter rods allow for more accurate cast. As long as we're not talking about long distance accuracy, a shorter rod is more manageable and maneuverable. It requires less energy to be put into the motion and to flex or load it for the cast, except for heavy action models. A short 6-foot or less rod is ideal if you want to make short, accurate cast. When pinpoint accuracy is less critical, a longer rod over 7 feet is the way to go. Dingy or dirty water and heavy cover are 2 situations where short range accuracy is part of the recipe for success, and a shorter rod can really shine. Now, number 2 is distance. Long rods make long-distance casting much easier. If a 40-yard cast with a big deep-diving crankbait like the Berkley Dredger is critical to your catch, your rod should be at least 7 feet long, and you'll want a smooth reel and a line with a slim diameter. Just remember that by gaining distance, you necessarily sacrifice accuracy, where no one is as accurate at 120 feet as they are at 30 feet, but when the water's clear, fishing pressure is high, or you need some extra depth from a crankbait, long cast and long rods are the way to go. Number 3 is leverage. Longer, heavier action rods offer more leverage than shorter, lighter action rods. This leverage is most critical on the hook set, where on a longer rod can move more line faster than a shorter rod, and a heavier action rod loses less energy because it's flexed and less than a softer rod. It's also true that a long rod with a light or medium action is often best for treble hook baits, since keeping tension on a hook fish can be more important than hook penetration. Action often trumps rod length here. When flipping, pitching, or fishing plastic worm or jigs, a sledgehammer hook set with a long, heavy action rod may be important to drive a single hook deep into the jaws of that bass. But if you're throwing crankbait or jerkbait with multiple treble hooks, a light action rod generally is more critical for keeping that fish on the line rather than the hook set. In other words, longer rods are typically best once a fish is on the line. Now, number 4 is comfort. Here's where rod length gets personal and where you need to be very honest with yourself. Just because your favorite Bass Pro recommends an 8-foot pitching rod doesn't mean that's best for you. That pro might stand 6'4" and have an upper body strength of an NFL linebacker. Maybe you're less than 6 foot tall and not as buff as you used to be. Choose your rod accordingly. If you're tall, you're more likely to be comfortable with a longer rod than you are a shorter one. Most bass anglers can handle a rod up to 7 feet in length with little difficulty, whether it's a flipping and pitching rod or one designed for deep cranking or anything else. Rods over 7 feet can be problematic if you're vertically challenged, so know your comfort zone and stay within it. It'll mean more fish in the long run. Now, for additional information, please check out this article and more information over at www.abugarcia.com. And thanks for tuning in, everybody. That's been your 10 to 1 update for today. As always, stay safe out there and tight lines, everyone.